Armored Core 6 looks cool. On the surface, it looks like mech fans will finally have a decent meal after years of waiting for something that came close to the levels of customization and challenge that the Armored Core franchise used to offer. With FromSoft's recent output, I have nothing but optimism for what might be the game to revive the franchise back from the grave. I still have some concerns though. Very recently, more details were revealed to the public and some people behind closed doors about the gameplay of this new entry. And here's where some of the concerning stuff starts to appear. First is the ability to heal. 3 times, in fact, and instantaneously as well. For someone who isn't familiar with this franchise, complaining about a simple ability like being able to heal yourself doesn't sound like a problem. In fact, the lack of it might be seen as a design flaw. But in AC, it's quite a game changer. Not just because healing wasn't possible, but because damage influenced the repair bill at the end of the mission. If you perform poorly, you would gain less, incentivizing you as a player to get better and reap better rewards. I am not denying the idea that damages might still need to be paid. I for sure hope that's still the case. But what we know now leaves me in the dark as to how punishable poor play will be. Which leads me to my second point, the lack of proper mission failure. One of the points mentioned by the people who were at the closed door event was the fact that dying no longer sends you back to the mission screen. Instead, a menu pops up and it allows you to go back to a checkpoint or go to the garage to personalize your mech. Not only does this mean that failing a mission might no longer punish you with the cost of failure, repairs, and ammo waste, but since there is no mention of a restart slash visit to the garage cost, it implies that you can also come back with no consequence and with a better build. If you are an Armored Core player, you should probably understand why this is incredibly broken. Missions all the way to Armored Core for Answer were designed with a single life run in mind, so it isn't that much of a surprise to see a player base so used to that format raising a brow when things like checkpoints and free visits to the garage mid-mission are mentioned. Things that, at least for checkpoints, were reserved for some of the final, most difficult missions in the game. The third thing that has me more concerned might be nothing for most people. But I have a feeling from all we know that the game is being massively streamlined. The garage is the most bare bones it has ever been in the franchise as of today. Now, it is true that I haven't played Armored Core 5 and Beredict Days, so that statement might mean nothing, but the amount of stuff you can change in your mech seems massively crippled, only being allowed to change important pieces like the core, the arms, the legs, and its equipment. Sure, for some people, being able to change something as insignificant as the cooling system or boosters might mean nothing. In fact, I dare say they think it's a quality of life improvement to put them together with the rest of the pieces. But one of the reasons I fell in love with this franchise to begin with was how much it allowed you to customize and experiment with until you made a mech that you can call your own. Even if I don't interact with the cooling system or the individual thrusters, which is necessary for certain builds by the way, others might be able to get away with some insane builds using components I never thought of using, which makes me want to experiment more and find new ways to make a cool mech. Restricting that for the sake of not scaring people away from this franchise feels like it's missing the point of what made it cool to begin with. However, the only glimpse people got of the garage was the one that you could enter from the checkpoint. So, if I remain hopeful, maybe there could be 2 versions of the garage. One that is accessible from the main menu and is as extensive as the previous ones, and the other that is accessible mid mission that allows you to make some surface level tweaks just for the rest of the mission. I want to finally end this video expressing that despite what you might think, I am not an old fan of the franchise. In fact, I played the first game on an emulator just as the start of the year, which means this thing called nostalgia is not blinding me in the slightest. I fell in love with these games very recently, so hearing that some of the things that I just fell in love with being crippled just hurts a lot. This is not the first time this happened to me, by the way. Back before Fallout 4 came out, I started getting into the older Fallout games, and they clicked with me in almost the exact same way Armored Core did. Then Fallout 4 came out, and it was an extremely bare-bones version of what Fallout actually was. Not bad by any means, but I expected way, way better. I don't want that to happen to Armored Core.